Okay, so in this recording, I'll be discussing the Project 1 Reflection and Student Learning Outcome Journal. This journal asks us to use the student learning outcomes contained in the core textbook to reflect on your learning process and achievements in Project 1. So I have all of those learning outcomes here, so we'll just address them one at a time. The first is rhetorical situation and genre. Analyze, compose, and reflect on arguments in a variety of genres, considering strategies, claims, evidence, and various mediums and technologies that are appropriate to the rhetorical situation. This is something we've talked about throughout the class already, everywhere from the textbooks to the examples that we've been provided, as well as the journals and discussion posts that we've done so far. One of the things that we can talk about here that we've specifically mentioned is the various mediums and technologies. That's something that we've discussed and we've seen. We've seen everything from videos to written medium. Right now, in the context of a Pecha Kucha review, is I think where we've seen the most. But each one of those are going to be appropriate and tailored to whatever rhetorical situation they're addressing. So, for example, the video review of Interstellar may be a better medium for that rhetorical situation than was the written review for the movie Juno for the Los Angeles Times. Okay, so writing is a social act. Describe the social nature of composing, particularly the role of discourse communities at the local, national, and international level. This isn't something we've discussed super in depth, but I think that we've done this practically, or actually put this to use throughout this class. One of the things that we've done several times is our discussion posts, and I think that in and of itself is an example of the social nature of composing and the set of principles that each of us follow in completing those discussion posts. So writing is a process. Use multiple approaches for planning, researching, pre-writing, composing, assessing, revising, editing, proofreading, collaborating, and incorporating feedback in order to make your composition stronger in various mediums and using multiple technologies. So we're kind of in the process of doing this right now. Each one of us for our Pecha Kucha review should have a draft that's going through several revision processes, including a peer review, which is I think the most recent assignment we've done. So each one of these is basically just enhancing our writing process using all of these approaches. And right now we're seeing this in the Pecha Kucha style, or it's going to be a video medium, but this would also apply to any type of writing style or any type of media style. Grammar and usage. Improve your fluency in the dialect of standardized written American English at the level of the sentence, paragraph, and document. We'll start with that one. This one's pretty straightforward. This is something that we're doing pretty much every time we write, so this is incorporated into our discussions. They're all going to be graded off of grammar, at least in part, and it also includes our Project 1, the Pecha Kucha review. Part of that is going to be the proper usage of grammar. So we're definitely putting that into practice as well. Analyze and describe the value of incorporating various languages, dialects, and registers in your own and others' texts. This isn't something that at least I can recall touching on much yet as of yet. We haven't seen anything that I can recall in various languages or dialects. However, I can see how this goes hand in hand with multimodal composition. It would be, in a multimodal format, pretty easy to incorporate various languages or even translate those languages from one to another. So I could see that being very beneficial. Reflection. Evaluate your development as a writer over the course of the semester and describe how composing in multiple genres and mediums using various technologies can be applied in other contexts to advance your goals. This really just talks about going back and reviewing my work and trying to put it into context. I think that a lot of the skills and a lot of the work that we're doing in this class will translate outside of the class as well. One of the examples that comes to mind immediately is this portfolio, right? So this isn't something that I would have considered doing or even maybe needed to do aside from the assignment in the class, but it's something that could be beneficial to me in any number of academic or professional situations. It's going to be very nice to have this location or central location containing really whatever I want. If it's just to showcase my work, that's great, or if it's only used in this class, then that's fine as well. But to answer this question, I can definitely see it being applied to various goals throughout my professional or academic career. Let me see, where were we exactly? I think research. Use writing and research as a means of discovery to examine your personal beliefs in the context of multiple perspectives and explore focused research questions through various mediums and technologies. I say this is something that we do pretty frequently, at least I do personally. Whenever I'm reading something new, or especially something from a different perspective, like written by another student, it kind of forces me to confront my own beliefs. Maybe I have the same beliefs as them, that's something I share, or maybe I have differing beliefs, and I have to evaluate that and really think about where do those beliefs come from and how they compare to somebody else's. Integrate others' positions and perspectives into your writing ethically, appropriately, and effectively in various mediums and technologies. This really brings to mind the peer review process that we're engaging in now. It's a process where we do get to constructively work with other people's projects or take advice from other students on how we can better our own projects. So this is definitely something that I've had to do in this class, and that I will take into consideration moving forward as well. Compose a research-based academic argument in one of the various mediums and technologies by identifying, analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing sources, which must include secondary sources. So what this is talking about is, I think, it's touching more on the research process and properly citing some of the sources that we find. It's something that I'm trying to recall which assignment we did it on. It's part of the script, is where I recall doing this most recently. Just compiling all the sources for where I found my information. I was able to put those in a works cited page. Analyze and describe the writing and research conventions of an academic field in order to understand the different ways of creating and communicating knowledge. Looking at this, I don't think we've really looked at a specific academic field in this course so far, in the context of creating and communicating knowledge. I mean, we could say that we've looked at the academic field of English because we're in an English class, but really I think that this course has kind of expanded beyond that to various different fields, whether they're academic, educational, entertainment. But in the context of just an English class, we're definitely learning new ways to create and communicate, and we're learning kind of the parameters in which to do that, especially following, let's say, like the APA format or the MLA format. Those are going to be pretty strict and specific to whatever academic field we're writing for, and that's something that we've definitely put into practice thus far. So that kind of touches on each one of the student learning outcomes and my interpretation of them thus far, and what I've learned through Project 1 that would apply to each one of those student learning outcomes. I just want to make sure we've touched on everything for this actual reflection. So what does each outcome mean? I think we've kind of touched that or completed that already. How is it related to what we've done in class so far? I've done my best to try and relate each of the outcomes to what we've done so far already. Why would you actually want to master these? So each one of these is going to be different, but in general, I think that they're all going to they're all just going to make us a more well-rounded writer and communicator. I think a lot of these go beyond the traditional English academic field or course. This is going to be a multimodal course, and so I think a lot of these can be expressed in various ways. But in general, I think each one of these is just going to make us a better communicator and will probably help us a lot moving forward in school as well. What is the most important thing you learned during this project sequence? Let me think about that for a second. I think probably the most important thing would be, that's kind of tough. I think just composing in the Pechakucha style, and kind of putting together the different modalities is going to be an important takeaway from this, from Project 1. I think, yeah, the next question kind of answers it. For me, creating the project itself was going to be the most important thing I learned. The smaller activities were definitely beneficial and kind of interesting and informative, but I think putting it all together is where most of the learning occurred in this project. I think we've already touched on the student learning outcomes that we haven't really addressed yet in this course, but I look forward to continuing to do so and maybe hopefully revisiting these at a later time in this course after we've gone through additional projects.